Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ales and Crafts. So, tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making some fine dungeon tiles. And, hold on, Dylan. What you saying? What? He didn't say anything, I'm just messing with him. But we got the idea for these from a channel called Dungeon Craft, and they make a lot of really good stuff. So, definitely give them a look. And if you want to join us for some arts and crafts, just go ahead and pop in. We can't really monitor the chat too closely, but I'm going to pull it up on my phone, so if you want to say hello, I'll go ahead and respond as soon as we notice it. And without any further ado, let's get started, shall we?
Without any further ado, why do I get one? The ruler that's not straight.
Because I get the good roller. This is where I live.
This is not, like, how do you have a ruler that's not straight?
This is only a marginally straight edge. It's made of wood, so it's warped slightly. But we're going to do our best. So what we're doing is we got these little 6x6 pieces of foam board. And we're marking them out into 1-inch squares. And then once we have those 1-inch squares marked out, we're going to go ahead and draw lines crisscrossing across for dungeon tiles. And then we're going to go ahead and cut those out a little bit, creating a little bit of detail with a ballpoint pen. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and heat up this soldering gun and melt away at the foam a little bit to create some texture. Got the pen over there.
I got a pen. It's not really writing, but it's good work.
It's okay. It doesn't need to write that well. Just good enough.
It's just making marks at this point. It's not really marking. I hate how this kind of tears the foam instead of kind of cuts through it, though.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but most of that torn up stuff's going to get melted away anyways when the solder goes over it.
Not really, but... I suppose we should conversate while we do this.
Yeah, I suppose we should. We should provide some sort of commentary.
Otherwise, it's just kind of... Can't really see what we're doing. Well, I guess I can, but...
So what you're saying is, you're not entertained. So I don't need to yell, are you not entertained? That's been made clear. Yeah, Dungeon Craft. They have lots of good stuff.
Not just crafting stuff either, despite what the channel name says.
Yeah, he's got a lot of DM tips and stuff like that too, and some tips on creating characters.
Creating
Pretty
encounters
entertaining.
too, and yeah, he has a lot of good stuff. A lot of interesting ideas, like what the one video we were trying to figure out how to incorporate with the
Yeah, it's like a new style of initiative where you don't actually use initiative, everybody goes at once. And it creates a little bit of suspense. Pardon me while I may go ahead and pull up the stream. Are we live over there? Yeah, we're live.
Sure are. We got a bunch of people talking, but sorry, we can't get to you right now.
Hold on, I'm in the chat room now.
Probably should have pulled it up beforehand because now you can see what you're saying.
Yeah, probably. Well, we'll do this the hard way and I'll just go take a look at the laptop.
Hard notes, we were not completely prepared.
We were only marginally prepared. Hi, Leslie!
I like how you're yelling when you're on the camera.
Yeah, I know. They could hear me.
Oh, I know. You're yelling from off screen.
Dylan, one of your
What?
family says hi.
Oh, hello. Who's my family? Banana Cat?
No,
But,
it looks like Alenton Knight.
oh, yeah, that's Chris. What's going on, Chris?
Hey there, Chris. Pardon me while I make my way downtown.
Are you walking fast?
I am. Face pass.
Are you homebound?
I am.
Alright, well, I created the 6x6 grid. That. We need a journal.
While we're doing some arts and crafts, why don't we talk some backstory for Carillion?
Yeah, I suppose that would be good, considering.
We could say that nothing is canon until we say it's canon.
And
Yeah, we're just gonna
it's
work
kind of
on
a
some
work in
stuff.
progress still. Also, I can't remember what town she's supposed to be from, to be honest.
Well, we'd have to pull up the map, but we'll go ahead and figure that out later. The town name itself is unimportant. It is a little island nation. Sorry, take a moment for shame. Dave. All right. Now that the shame is passed, yeah, it was a little island nation down to the southeast,
I thought it was just the east.
northwest and dragon direction, dragon compass. We have a dragon in the campaign, and he thinks north is south and south is north, and vice versa for east and west. So he's a little backwards, but he's also a dragon. So perhaps not argue with him.
Dragons like to be educated, but yeah. So think of the place like Australia, really.
So it's a prison colony then.
Well, probably not, but I'm just saying like the size of it. How it's just one nation,
Yeah,
but it's just yeah. But think of where to start. Where should I start? I think some questions.
Let's see. So, why'd you become an adventurer, Carillion?
Well, kind of tied into the whole backstory.
That is the point.
Yeah, I know. Well, Brilliant originally wanted to become a scout for the nation, or really just for a small village. That's really where it kind of started, but then still kind of working on it. But basically, she uncovered some sort of plot that was being concocted by some of the other guards, or whatever you would call them. Maybe not guards, but
Oh yeah, I know I did a terrible job, Leslie. Thank you for pointing that out.
terrible job of what?
Sneaking past the screen to get over here.
Yeah,
What if I told you that was intentional? Would you believe me?
absolutely not.
But anyways, yes, Carillion wanted to be a scout for her village. Was there anything particularly special about the scouts? Like, what role did they play particularly? Was it a role to the nation? Was it a role specifically to the village?
I would say more around the village, because I would say she's probably not actually part of the guard, but more kind of because she wasn't part of any sort of unit or any sort of unit or anything.
So
she
it wasn't like an official military function.
No. I would like to think they kind of employed private scouts. That way they can have plausible deniability if the scout ever gets caught.
Okay, yeah. So if it was more of an individual thing, the nation wouldn't be implicated.
Right.
And then what stopped Carillion from becoming a scout like she wanted?
That's the part I'm kind of working on, but the gist of what I have now is.
Oh yeah, Leslie doesn't believe me.
No, I wouldn't either.
Good call.
What was I saying? Your question was what stopped her becoming a scout?
Yeah, what prevented her from becoming a scout? Was she a scout? Did she not become a scout?
More training to become a scout, but then she uncovered the plot, like I said. More of a coup than anything else.
So there was an attempted coup in her home nation?
More, not attempted at that time, but more planning, but she found out about it, and she tried to basically the queen or whatever, king, let them know but she never got the chance to. And that is part of the reason why she does not have her entire right arm. Okay.
Was it one of the people who were complicit in the plot who removed most of her arm? Or was it an accident? Was it malicious?
They definitely made it look like an accident. How I always kind of imagined it is when she was trying to disarm a trap more for practice than anything else. Something went wrong when she was trying to disarm it. Like it wasn't actually supposed to be. It wasn't actually supposed to harm. Kind of like a dummy trap.
So it was supposed to be for training, but it was rigged
Yeah.
to go off whatever it was.
And she lost her arm because of it.
So that explains where she came from, what her goal was initially, and how she lost her arm. Why don't we talk about your ghost hand a little bit? How'd she get her beefed up mage hand?
So yeah, it is Mage Hand. I'm also done with this. So yes, it is Mage Hand. We kind of came up with a system where it's a 10-foot range, while it can still have the strength of a normal hand, I guess, to be able to use with the bow. So that's the homebrew thing that we came up with. So the story behind that is, since she couldn't become a scout anymore, she figured she wanted to do something still, and that happened to have been was there any comments?
Yeah, Leslie's talking to us. Yeah, we did sketch on the last episode. We also intended to talk too, but me being the goober that I am, well, I just went ahead and I must have muted the mic at some point because it's really just people staring at my big forehead for like an hour while I sketch some nonsense and my mouth moving with no sound coming out. So I apologize for that.
Anyway, what were we saying?
We were talking about the mage hand.
Right. So it was Mage Hand, and then she kind of realized that if she could make Mage Hand strong enough, she'd be able to use it as a normal hand. And if you watched the last Friday stream with the Ales of Art, you would probably have noticed the fact that she had kind of a tattoo around her right elbow, a little above that. That is because the mage she was the wizard she was learning from agreed to try to help her with trying to create a stronger mage hand, because he was also curious too. I always like to imagine at least elven wizards like to experiment a little bit, see what they can come up with. So he modified the mage hand spell, and you basically use the tattoo as kind of a
Sort of like an enhancer, like it enhances the
an
effect.
enhancer
Or
slash
like a focus,
Yeah.
like a spellcasting
Yeah,
focus.
that's kind of what I was going for, kind of a focus. So that allowed her to do that. And despite the fact of what the others did, she did manage to become a scout.
So is she currently a scout?
Not currently. She had to go on the run because eventually once she wasn't out of the way, they started to try to
Start trying to kill her, or get rid of her
get rid of her,
nefariously.
maybe not kill her, but make it so maybe she couldn't walk or something like that. Because obviously, I don't think there's a spell like that where you can help her walk. Stuff like
I
that.
think it'd be a lot more effective if they just killed her as opposed to breaking her legs. Her mouth still works.
I know, but I'm just trying to get her out of the way, basically, so she had to go and run.
Yeah.
And that's where she met. I don't remember how the whole party came together.
I don't remember the exact explanation I gave, but basically, you were on the run. Cerulean was escaping from her home nation, traveling across the land. And in this world, adventuring is a specific profession with a guild that manages all of that. So it's very lucrative, as you might imagine. And somebody who's on the run who may not have a particular skill or trade, who's already familiar with some level of danger, maybe perhaps some has some sort of skill in combat, might find that to be a good career. So basically, that's what she resolved to do. Well, I believe that's what she resolved to do. And then down in the southern kingdoms, there's not as much need for adventurers because it's a lot more stable down there, with the exception of political unrest and feuds between nations. But adventurers aren't as needed. So she went up towards the frontier, and that's where she got introduced to the various members of the party.
I can't remember who she met first. Was it Kiergar or Agus? Can't remember.
No, I can't recall either.
No.
Where's that little knifey at?
Oh,
The
this
little
one.
X-Acto knife.
Oh, not that one.
Just want to get this little bit of paper off of here. Yeah, we could definitely do a crafting stream more often. What do you think about our setup, Leslie? We just sort of threw this together last minute. I think it's not too shabby considering. Boy, I sure wish this was sharp. Think the camera should be a little bit closer? Yeah, I can see that. We'll take note of that for next time. Yeah, so then Carillion went and joined the party. They went up to Passeropolis where they signed up to be adventurers, got assigned their porcelain rank, and then that's where our current story began.
And as you can imagine, any elf that's kind of asking about her story, she really doesn't trust, like you might have seen in the last episode.
Which is fortunate you haven't run into that many inquisitive elves thus far.
Luckily, Kiergar noticed the discomfort with the questioning, stepped in,
Yeah.
though he doesn't know the real reason either.
No, he doesn't. He's not clued in just yet. I'm sure he'll put two and two together eventually. Kiergar's not the most intelligent character, but he's very wise. He's not dumb, but
Well, I always
wise.
I always figure if there's anyone in the party that she would trust the most at this point, since I'm pretty sure our characters are the only two that have been traveling the longest.
Kiergar and Carillion.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably since a lot of them had various spirit quests and other stuff they had to do, sort of like in the middle few episodes.
Yeah, the only other character that she would probably trust, maybe not with information, but would be excuse me.
Osborne.
Yeah, Osborne. But Osborne,
You don't know your own friend Osborne? No, that's a real shame. Yeah, it does.
But yeah, Osborne is doesn't really seem like the type to really confide
Hey,
in.
you got a Christmas gift.
This gift.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah.
What Dylan get for Christmas? Is it a surprise?
Probably.
It's probably a surprise.
Probably.
Don't mind me. I'm just going to tear this stuff apart off screen. Actually, I'll go on screen so you can watch me do this. That was far from the most entertaining thing we're going to do this evening, but I have to tear this paper portion off so we can get to the succulent foam underneath. Where all the nutrition hides. A little loud there. Is it? A little bit. Hold on, she's almost done with it. Woo!
How many of these do we plan on making?
Maybe one more batch of the big squares.
What about hallway pieces?
We can do that out of the remainder pretty easily.
Yeah.
You know what? Might as well just use these big squares templates. They're about the same size. They're foot square.
Yeah.
Work harder, not smarter. Let me see here.
Is there anything else we can talk about?
Well, you see, there's plenty of things we can talk about.
Such as. There's stuff in here.
We can talk about how it's dark way too early in the day, although that wouldn't be too interesting.
No, everybody kind of knows about that.
Yeah, they do.
We talk about the fact that Olavi almost had her way with the dwarf.
Oh yeah, Olavi turned into an alpha werewolf during our last episode, which the party was certainly not expecting, and then proceeded to wreck their whole day, which was, you know, quite a sight.
Well, their whole night anyway.
Yeah, their whole night.
So you said we weren't bothering with rounding off the corners any?
No, not really.
I feel like a little bit at least.
All right, let's do this. We'll try doing it this way, see if it comes out all right. A little bit of this is just going to be arts and crafts because it's hard to do arts and crafts and do commentary, at least for me.
Well, we just have to have a subject to talk about more. There's got to be more.
What does Olavi, what does Carillion hope to achieve by adventuring? Is it just a means to survive in the meantime?
In the meantime, yeah, until she can figure out what to do, or until someone comes looking. Because if someone comes looking, she's gonna. Where's the metal ruler? Are you probably using it?
Give me a second, I'll find it. Don't mind our mess.
It's only because we're not organized.
Well, this isn't a dedicated craft space, to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Where did you put the ruler?
I'll be honest, I had the foggiest idea in my noggin. Oh, it's there underneath that wax paper.
Ah! Yeah, I'll use that. It's gonna be a little bit better. Alright, what was the question?
Hold on.
I suppose we should look at Chet.
The gift is very well hidden.
Well, I don't go in their house anymore anyway.
Sarah stopped by to say loser. Hi, Sarah.
What's this loser?
Yeah, I know, she's very creative.
Come up with a more creative name, Sarah. Jeez. Oh, we can talk about how we're in a new space for the future, actually.
Yeah, we can. Buddy Hunter just got himself a new place to live, and with it, there's a new dedicated space for our D&D sessions that we're putting together.
And yes, it is a basement for those who want to know.
Yes, it is 100% in a basement, so not at all fitting the stereotype for people who play D&D, especially adults, which we claim to be. I like to think I'm an adult. There we go.
Yeah, the goal is to eventually make it into a somewhat functional tavern, like medieval type tavern.
Yeah, so we'll have a little bit of an atmosphere when we play, as opposed to just, you know, a living room / kitchen area.
Yeah, it'll definitely be more
Suitable for the game.
Yeah, it'll be more aesthetic. It's not finished yet. We just got the paint up on the wall Wednesday, I believe.
But you'll definitely see more of that as we move forward. When you're done with that ruler, I need it again. Since the other one's only marginally straight.
It doesn't really matter too much for this.
Oh, it's on Dylan's favorite series. Is that MASH?
Actually, Star Wars. Well, Star Wars isn't really a series, though, is it?
I guess you wouldn't consider it a series, but I mean, it's a series of movies.
Well, not really. I mean, it's more of a franchise than anything else.
Isn't that just another word for the same thing?
Not really, because there's so with Star Wars you got the movies, and I don't count the sequel trilogy as being canon because they're trash. Then you got the shows, the animated shows, and then the newest Mandalorian show. I guess the newest show is Bad Batch, which is pretty good.
Is it Star Wars stuff? You can't look this hanging out. They're giving us that sweet hint.
What is it?
I think it is.
Aha! I know me so well.
This isn't going to work as well as I wish.
Oh, where's the?
Aluminum foil is here.
That's one thing I need to do.
Don't mind me as I wave the sniper around.
One of the safest practices of practice here.
Oh yeah, we believe in safety here at Ales and Scales.
Practice every OSHA mandate ever.
OSHA. Yeah, so the D&D space is something more to see as opposed to hear about, but that's something to look forward to coming up. We could do like maybe a brief synopsis of the campaign so far.
Probably could.
Or maybe a brief recap of the last episode. Although we sort of already did that, didn't we? At least one portion of it.
Yeah, one portion. Because we didn't mention how the fact that Valkyrie flew down to swim in a lake for some reason.
I'm assuming to bathe. I mean, what else do you do in medieval times with your off time?
Well, why would she fly down to Earth instead of staying in Valhalla?
I mean, they work on Earth. That's where they collect the dead. Maybe it was just her 10-minute break.
To fly down to Earth? Just
Well,
to
it's
go.
an actual that encounter itself was based off of something I read in Norse mythology. It's I don't remember all of the details perfectly, mind you, but basically, that happens. A Valkyrie flies down to a lake or river to bathe, and she does so like disguised as a swan or some sort of bird, and she sheds what's called plumage, like the feathers and skin of the bird, and bathes in the lake, and then someone steals that so that she's not able to return to Valhalla, and then ends up marrying the guy who stole it. So that was the general idea for the encounter.
Yeah.
But what actually happened with the encounter was going to depend on the choice of the party. And what the party ultimately decided to do was to help out the Valkyrie and convince Brick and his partner to give the Valkyrie her stuff back and instead accompany them to the forest.
And we were questioning why didn't he just kind of get with the dark elf that was with them?
Did you guys question that?
Yeah, we did. I don't think he really gave us an answer at all.
Perhaps not. But perhaps that's part of that Dark Elf's motivation for following him around.
Well, considering the way she was eyeballing Carillion
Yeah.
around.
It's one of those keep your hands and your eyes to yourself. If you know what's good for you kind of looks. So with that action resolved, they joined our brave heroes and they continued on north towards that dark forest. I believe it's called the Evergreen Forest, but I don't have the map before me.
Yeah, I think that's what you said it was called.
I do and say a lot of things.
Oh yeah, then that fog rolled in.
The fog happened after the werewolf. Yes.
Well,
That was during the journey, like right after the encounter where you met
yeah,
those two.
yeah, and of course the dwarf just had to be.
Yeah, everybody tried to make a tactical retreat, but our dwarvish friend decided that he wanted to fight the werewolf, and certainly would have died if he didn't receive any sort of assistance.
So when Kiergar tried to, he put sleep on him, put him to sleep, and he tried to pull him into the tiny hut thing. What is that?
Lehman's tiny hut.
Yeah, that one. Tried to do that, but the werewolf stole him, and unfortunately, the dwarf could not make a strength check to get out because he was asleep.
Indeed, he was.
And that's when everybody started chasing after him. But canonically, no one knows that the werewolf did not want to kill the dwarf.
Yeah, they don't really know that, but they were going to make little baby werewolves and cause a lot of trouble in the local area.
What kind of being would that be? Because the werewolf was really the halfling with the dwarf. I don't think they're compatible.
It would be a monstrosity, that's what it would be. Although, I don't know yet. I don't know how that would work. I don't think that's how the curse works for people who are not natural lycanthropes.
I mean, how else would that work though? How else would you?
They wouldn't make baby werewolves, but Olabi could have converted him into a werewolf.
Well, unless he failed the Constitution save.
I mean, given enough time.
True.
Plus, we don't know what happened while they were unconscious. He passed all of his saves while he was conscious and fighting,
True.
but you guys don't know what happened in the meantime. But anyways, there was that whole werewolf encounter that they eventually did resolve. They were able to basically beat the crap out of Alavi until she turned back into a halfling, and then remove the curse.
Well, the final shot was brilliant while riding on in a large brick.
Yeah, Brick is a rune knight, so he used an ability to make himself large, like basically into a kind of a giant. He was basically a yeoman at that point, and he might as well have been a walking fortress. So Carillion sat upon his shoulders as he started into battle and struck the final blow against the werewolf.
Would I have been able to use steady aim while sitting on bricks and technically my movement would be 0?
I would say no, because he's like a mobile platform, and he probably would not be the most stable thing to sit on. He'd probably just be like lumbering forward,
Yeah,
like an ogre.
that's
big
why I
ogre
had to make a
that
normal shot. I wasn't going to risk missing with the sharpshooter.
It did all work out. They were able to uncurse a lobby, and as far as they know, no one else is cursed with the werewolf disease.
And then after that, when the fog started rolling in, we encountered one of those strange humans that we encountered in the second episode, I believe.
Yeah, so early on in the campaign, it was a random encounter from some random encounter table that I found. But basically, there were some people dressed in a soldier's garb, like a modern soldier,
I was
There's
thinking like
no-
World War II is the
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like more like World War II. That's sort of how I ran it, and I tried my best to describe it, you know, as someone who's never seen that type of equipment before would describe it. And he was when they came across him again, he was coming out of the evergreen forest, which had a twilight haze over it. What?
Well, wasn't there more than one though? Was there like a whole squad?
Originally there was a whole squad, but you only saw that one.
I'm
And-
thinking there's more in that forest somewhere.
Possibly.
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I kept the stuff. I'm like, they probably want it.
But basically, some weird fog that had like a moon-like glow creeped out from the trees of the forest, and while the soldier was running frantically towards our brave heroes, it sort of like wrapped around him and sucked the very life out of his body.
And he was too far away for us to help, right?
Yeah, there was nothing you guys could have done without putting yourselves in danger of suffering the same fate like Smash Hammer Fist almost did. No, he's Lash this time. For those of you that are not familiar, the Hammer Fist clan is diverse. It has many names that all rhyme.
Except for Billy Bob.
Yeah, except for Billy Bob.
Billy Bob was lost. Hanging out on his character sheet. Or I don't think I do.
Was Billy Bob a Hammer Fist?
Yeah, I made him a hammer fist. He's a cousin.
Oh. Like twice removed. Like
Something
not
like
a, not a regular cousin.
He's the one-shot character. I enjoy playing Billy Bob. I don't have something either that or he'd be really easy to remake anyway.
Well, Leslie wants us to explain a little bit more about our current crafting project.
Oh yeah. So basically, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's basically a 6x6 square that we're sectioning off in by a 1 inch by 1 inch squares, and then we're using a soldering iron to burn kind of a tile mark into it, and we're kind of roughing it up with that, and then we're using basically aluminum foil, crunching it up and just kind of pressing it onto the tile to give it sort of a worn texture. And then we have some pre-made ones that are drying over there, which we put some paint on there. We are going to dry brush it once those are completely dry, so it should give it a nice worn tile, like stone tile look. So that's basically what we're doing now.
Yeah, this is so that when the party's actually advancing through a dungeon or like a house, we have a visual aid, not just for them, but for you guys, so you can see actually what they're doing instead of just using your imagination. It'll be a solid mixture of both, shall we say.
Yeah, because with this setup, we're not really worrying about walls too much because along with what we got this from Dungeon Craft. We got the idea that if we do it this way with no walls, then the players can easily see, and then once we get the combat cam down, you guys can easily see, so everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, so it's definitely wise to cut them first and then affix them. Although
Yeah.
it's hard to cut the tile very precisely, so shaving might become necessary either way.
It's okay. Maybe for one of these ales and crafting that we're doing, like a building, one of the buildings that he was doing.
Perhaps.
I feel like the scale was not necessarily correct.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, maybe just seeing a mini next to it will give it a good scale. Like, I feel
Gotcha.
like,
That house is kind of small.
yeah. I mean, it'd probably be easy to scale up, but I feel like an orc or a furbolg should be easily able to get through the door. And
Maybe
doors,
it's a house made for humans.
I mean, I suppose, but.
Turn on your light. Dylan's hopping in the Twitch.
Well, that way I can also see chat. So. Best going on here for some reason.
So the party is currently heading to this forest that's covered in like this eternal twilight that no traders or people have been able to pass through thus far. And they're not sure exactly what the cause of it is, but earlier, one of the earlier campaign sessions, they went on a spiritual journey for Osborne so that he could go to the World Tree, Yggdrasil, and gain a sort of it's like a magic ability. It's like an ancient knowledge that allows him to sing life into plants and sort of have a measure of control over living things like that. And while they were traveling through the forest in this dream world, they encountered this darkness that I had described, and they were set upon by some sort of like demon or shadow creature as they were going through that even continued to haunt them after they had left that dreamlike realm, and was only dispelled from them when they by chance met Balder, the god of light, moments before he was killed by his brother Hodor, the god of darkness, who's blind, mind you, and very likely could not have cast a spear by himself.
Luckily, Balder did decide to get rid of that evil because it was spying on Carillion.
Yeah, it kept whispering Carillion's ears at random moments throughout the campaign.
Yeah, she kind of thought it was coming from the mirror in her new room, so she kind of pulled it out. I thought it was comical.
Yeah, they did get rid of that mirror really quick. Okay, no devil mirror today.
Got rid of that mirror real quick. Solved the issue, but
I don't know, the mirror was something entirely different.
well, I don't even remember where we put it.
It's somewhere in the castle keep.
As long as it's not spying on Carillion in a room.
But the this forest with the demon in it, or whatever it is, they haven't quite determined that, is only a side stop on their way to the Serpent's Crown, which is like a series of mountains in the middle of Lake Superior, which is just a vast lake, basically like a small ocean, located in the center of the landmass. And on this landmass, the Serpent's Crown is said to be a mighty dragon who's guarding not only a hoard of, wealth beyond your wildest imagination, also something called the Root of the Mountain, which the players don't know yet. The characters definitely don't know. It's one of the ingredients that was used to make the unbreakable chain that binds Fenrir, the wolf god. And it's one of the things that I say he's going to need to break free from his confinement, which is one of the events that leads to Ragnarok, which is like the Norse end of days.
So, I forget. The Cult of the Wolf that Lilith is a part of, what are they trying to do again?
They're also trying to free Fenris. Well, not Fenris, sorry, that's the Marvel rendition. That's copyrighted.
I thought it was similar. Anyway. Yeah, hey Leonard. Hey Randy, what's up? What are you guys crafting?
Hey, what's up, Ben? We're making some dungeon tiles. You'll definitely see these in person when you do come to play some D&D with us. Where was I? Oh, yeah. But, her cult believes the wolf isn't inherently evil. That he could be, like, sort of restored, or at the very least, they could convince him not to cause Ragnarok or something along those lines.
So what are they trying to do? Are they trying to free him or stop him from being free?
They're trying to free him, but keep him from being influenced. Like they're not only trying to free him, but they're also trying to stop Ragnarok. But there's the Cult of the Wolf, which is also trying to free Fenrir, but their goal is to begin the events that cause Ragnarok and bring about the end of the world. So their goals are similar, but their desired end state is different. But you guys haven't really investigated too much into Lilith yet, so
Yeah.
let's see. I think that's all we need for. I just need to make some
Yeah.
backs for those.
Makes a little for that.
Yeah, I could. Let me give you guys a little bit of a close up so far.
Oh, how dry are those?
These are bone dry, so we can go ahead and do the. I don't know how well you can see. Yeah, so this is these are the dungeon tiles we're working on. They've got this to sort of like give it a little bit of stability on the bottom and give it a little bit of weight. And then we're going to go ahead and dry brush various grays over this to give it detail, but basically make it look like a dungeon floor. Yeah, those dry nice.
That's good. Yeah, the main thing we're waiting on those were the like the in between the tiles.
I really don't like cutting these tiles.
Way to show everybody
Ah, that'll be fine.
be traumatized.
What? Of course not. I'm fabulous.
I'm thinking we can also do a similar thing for like grass as well.
We could actually probably do something easier for grass because then we really just need to cut out like a foam square, foam circle, and then they have turf, like pre-made turf we could use.
Well, that's what I think. Cause I've seen like videos on YouTube and stuff where someone makes a hyper realistic like mini model and they have like this static grass stuff where like it kind of just you just kind of shake it out and it stands up like grass.
Yeah,
So
so we could do something like that in the future.
yeah, I figured just give it some variation a little bit. Of course, I'm not sure how we would do the squares though, with that kind of thing.
We see it would probably be like an outdoor type thing, so we wouldn't even do squares. We'd do shapes other than squares.
No, I mean like as far as like the 1-inch squares for each player
Oh,
for the pawns.
we could guesstimate it. We don't need to grid it out. Also, you know, the squares correspond to a ruler. So if we want to be really precise, which I honestly believe is unnecessary, if you're close enough to hit, I'll tell you you're close enough to hit.
I mean, Carillion just has to be within 600 feet, so.
Yeah, and we don't have that much table, so if you could see them, I'm going to say you could probably hit them unless there's something in between. And unless they have full cover, you can hit them anyways, because your elf eyes see everything.
And eventually I want to get that crossbow expert feat so I don't have disadvantage on attacks within 5 feet. Believe it or not, it doesn't say anything in that line. It doesn't say anything about crossbow.
No, it just says
ranged
ranged
attack.
weapons.
Yep.
And believe it or not, a bow and arrows are a weapon.
Just imagine Carillion being up close and personal, especially once she gets like action surge.
I mean, that's basically, at that point, you're basically Legolas in Lord of the Rings.
Is that better?
Ah, that keeps happening. But I mean, this is a Dollar General cutting tool.
What?
The bottom keeps popping off.
Yeah, you can't do that. It was $1 on the way here, so I give it credit. It's actually not that bad. I mean, I wouldn't recommend, actually using one, but like actually buying one to
Yeah, definitely.
For a long
This is
time.
going to be a one-time use kind of thing. We'll have to buy a better one the next time.
Probably should have thought about getting one today because of Black Friday.
I didn't see that many good deals out and about. Happy Thanksgiving as well, everybody. I know it's a day late, but you know, it's the thought that counts.
Oh, let's see. Leslie's saying, you guys have any ideas for new characters? And then Leonard was saying, what are the dungeon tiles used for?
We use those to depict like a more tactical style of combat. So we'll have a little miniature, and I believe I have some somewhere here, but they're all in the table that the camera happens to be sitting on. So we're not going to show those at this very moment. Actually, hold on one second.
Yeah, don't you have some over there?
I do.
Maybe a map or something. So basically, so instead of having just a blank map that we have to draw on with dry erase, we're making these dungeon tiles to just give it a better look, basically.
Yeah. Basically, instead of me saying, you walk into a room, it's dark, and at the far side, you're greeted by a glowing set of eyes and flashing teeth as a tremendous demon lunges forward and tries to slice you in half. Roll for initiative. Instead, you could also see it here on this tile. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Here's you, and then here's the demon that's probably about to kill you in the most awful way imaginable. It provides a little bit more of a solid visual reference for where you are, where the enemy is, so that you can actually plan how you're going to fight this thing.
Because while theater of the mind is nice, it's good to have a physical representation, especially if we're pretty technical about some of the abilities.
Well, I sure did try my best to cut this one half a piece in.
Like it would definitely help with when people, do fireball or the one where it's like a 15-foot cone for fire. I don't remember that.
Well,
one.
luckily, Hunter has a bunch of spell effects that we can use for stuff like that.
Well, exactly. We can combine the two, kind of just make it a better look. But let's see. And there's another question. Do we have any ideas for new characters?
Ideas for new characters.
Well, I did have one. I was thinking about a race, but I might just go with the boring human because it might work better for the character. But basically, he would be inflicted with either born or came upon it like the lobby, but the lycanthrope curse. And basically, he's trying to find a way to get rid of it, but he also has to deal with it. And one of the ideas was, anytime he really gets into combat, there's a chance that he might actually turn into a werewolf. He's basically trying to fight it because he thinks he's a monster, which he kind of is.
I think that has a lot of good opportunity for character development.
Yeah.
Because maybe he ends up growing to accept it after a while and gets a measure of control over it instead of fighting against it.
Or I always kind of imagine like the werewolf being kind of a separate thing, like a separate thing inside your head, or
like it's its own entity within your mind.
kind of in a way,
Like
but
it's got
like
its own personality.
like it's you, but it's not kind of thing. Like it has different instincts and different, more primal needs and wants. Basically, is the way I always imagine it.
That's a good way to look at it.
But especially during combat, you're fighting for control, and then maybe the only signs that like in your human form is like your eyes turn a different color, like amber or something, or maybe a typical eye for a normal wolf, that kind of thing. So that's an idea I had. As far as like actual class, I'm not sure. I was thinking fighter, but human fighter's kind of boring.
It's only boring if you play it boring.
True. I mean, you're always human fighters. Not always, but that was one idea that I had. Might be my next character. Who knows?
I don't have any running character concepts at the moment. I've been too busy running the story, so I haven't put too much thought into it, honestly.
so I'm sort of trimming these down to like match the shape of the tiles, so they're not like overlapping.
Yeah.
So they would be perfect, but
Yeah, maybe we should also burn the edges again.
yeah, we might want to do that.
Maybe we should talk about the Twitter thing again, because I'm not sure how many people were there last
Oh
week.
yeah, those of you that don't know, we went ahead and started the official Twitter. If you guys want to go and give us a like and a share and a follow, we'd really appreciate it. We're just going to be posting like D&D updates there, you know, campaign stuff. You could have each of the players is going to eventually make their own Twitter, so you can interact with your favorite players.
All right.
And then, what's that?
So yeah, right now it's only myself and Hunter, Kiergaard and Carillion that actually have one. So basically, I think we're running as like that character, like it's the Twitter for the character, basically, right? Or,
Yeah, pretty much. And then there's also the main one where you'll find, you know, ilk art updates like fan art, that kind of stuff posted on there. Fun stuff. Alright, that one's tiled.
Oh, you got the
Yeah, but it's capital A, capital M, capital S, ale, dash, and dash scale.
Is it dash or underscore?
It's dash on the Twitter.
Yeah, give us a follow. Give the two characters we have a follow if you want. We're gonna start doing more with that.
Yeah, that's gonna we really just started it, but that's gonna grow into something spectacular here soon. We'll have a lot more content for you guys as we create the content.
Okay, more questions?
What do we got?
Oh, Leonard's asking, can you just make up a character or do you have to select?
So basically, you have you select a certain race like dwarf, elf, or any of the other races in the book, and you select a class which is basically like their job, and that's where you get a lot of your abilities as you level up. But other than that, it's completely on you. Like the character you make, think of it like writing a character in a book. Their traits, their flaws, their strengths, their weaknesses, that's all up to you. And they have tools for you to use in the player's handbook. Like they have,
That's just to make it easier if if you have trouble coming up with something.
but you could basically the limit is your imagination. Whatever you think you could do in this game.
Like take my character for example. There's nothing in there about a mage hand being able to pull back a bow because that's a 10-pound limit.
Yeah, the spell has its own limitations, but for character development, we're playing it in such a way that, you know, due to her willpower or like the enhancement provided by that magic tattoo she has, she's able to have her ghost hand function as a real limb instead of just being limited like the spell usually is. The only limitations on your character are what you could come up with creative-wise and what your dungeon master will allow you to do. And honestly, I'll allow you to get away with a lot if I think it's interesting.
Now some dungeon masters won't allow you to get away with a whole lot, so
Yeah, it really just depends on your table, but you're in good hands when you're with us.
yeah. If you have an idea, maybe you think they won't go for it, just ask anyway. And then you never know. And then there was one more question we'll get to in a moment. Okay, let's see. Oh, Leslie, so you're asking me to make a Twitter just to follow awesome D&D stream? You don't have to make a Twitter, but if you want to, you
You
can.
don't have to, but we'll love you more if you do. And if you don't, you're missing out on all that sweet content that's going to be posted there.
It says it's such an educational stream for someone new to the D&D world.
We do try our best, Leslie. We appreciate you and Ben tuning in. It's nice to have someone to talk to.
Yeah, this is kind of what we're using the Friday streams for. We're not doing like a one shot or a new player kind of thing.
Yeah, this is just an opportunity for us to talk with you guys and create a little bit of art while we're at it. if you could call this travesty, I'm cutting out art because here, I don't know if you look at that edge. It's awful.
That's kind of bad.
Look, this is an ancient, decaying dungeon floor. It's not going to be level, and it's not level because I cut it all kinds of goofed up.
Sure.
Also, once we got through the first, like, I feel like I dulled this thing a little bit cutting into these.
Well, you can snap off the front of it and use,
I-
because that's
what
what
I want to do.
And remember, it's from the dollar store. It's not the greatest blade. It's probably from China. Yeah. Also, if you're new to D&D, just ask questions like we have been. If you don't really have any idea for a character, just kind of run it by your DM. See what kind of idea your DM might have.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. As soon as you guys come over to the house, or well, I guess I'm maybe going over there, we'll take some time and roll you guys up some good characters so you can play with us.
How long does one game last? It could depend per table. A game can last an hour or two, or like ours 5. Ours used to go how long? Like 8
Ours
hours?
used to go really late. We used to start
Yeah.
around 4 or 5, and then we would play
Until-
at least till midnight.
sometimes
sometimes
1
later.
a.m. So now we're kind of capping ours at 5 hours, but we take, as you might have seen, we do take frequent breaks, but we are trying to kind of limit that so we have less downtime. Yeah, honestly, I used to not be able to come up with creative characters. My first character with this group, I was actually moving from California, and we were making. I had Keen, another one of the players, another one of our friends. He was actually in my passenger seat texting Dean, trying to make a character for me, and I played that night. But that first character was kind of boring, but it can take a bit to start coming up with ideas, and then a good way to kind of come up with a character if you're not entirely sure, if you like a certain character from a movie or a show or something like that, you can try to use that as influence to build a character.
You can also base your character off of yourself, or like the ideal version of yourself if you wanted to. You just feel like, what would I do in this set of circumstances? And then just do that.
Yeah, my idea for Carillion actually came from, if you guys have heard of the game, it's Warhammer Vermintide. That's where I got the idea for Carillion, because it's the same name.
Although the personalities are quite a bit different if you do play the game.
Yeah, my Carillion's not as mean.
That means
Articles. Yeah, it is.
but then she is still kind of mean. She's mean to Orion often.
Yes, I guess. I don't know why. It's just sort of evolved into that. I think it's because he's like, I'm the best shot ever. I think that had a lot to do with it.
Well, he was until he crossed bows with you.
Oh, Leonard is saying, can you have more than one? Are you talking about like at one table, or what do you mean?
Yeah, you'll have to elaborate a little bit on that one, Ben.
Does every character start at base level for each game, or can you use the same character for each game to level up?
Table. Okay. That depends on the DM and what kind of adventure they're going for. Like an example was 2 campaigns ago, we had it was a short campaign, but I think at least I don't remember. I know I had the same character for that campaign and the campaign after that because it just kind of ran in together. I think 3 of us had that.
Yeah.
Said something like that where we had the same character. So it depends on what level you're starting at and if that same character will fit into the next campaign, pretty much. So you can have the same one for different campaigns, but it's not always available.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll be creating new characters, but the campaigns are like epic stories a lot of the time. So unless you're doing something just for 1 or 2 nights, you can have the same character for a long time, and you can either start down at level 1 or depending on the game master's discretion, you can start a little higher. I like to start at level 2 because I don't really like level 1 play, and then I like to progress fast. That way, there's just constantly a progression. Your characters are constantly getting a little bit better. Otherwise, like the chance of you getting to like those higher levels, like 10 and above, it's a lot less likely. And I like to see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I think the only character I've gotten above level 10, I got to actually 20, was a Centaur Barbarian that I did. So that was pretty fun. I lost that character though when I switched phones. So that sucks.
Yeah, we did miss pizza time. Ah, wait. When you say pizza time, do you mean are you talking about the wheel of time, or are you talking about actual pizza? Because pizza sounds great, but there's also a week's worth of Thanksgiving leftovers in the fridge.
Could bring.
I really hope I didn't get any rain here, but I'm gonna drink this anyway. What? Oh, I was nothing. What were you saying?
Should probably bring some of that food for tomorrow.
Man, I'm gonna be eating that all week. I was gonna say we could just go in the usual turn.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think Wolf said he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wolf said he was gonna throw in, but
Yeah.
that's my lunch all week in school.
Yeah, I might bring the green stuff over. That's what I call my mom's grocery salad.
Oh yeah. I do need my pizza breaks, but unfortunately where I live, no one delivers pizza. So unless we're making the pizza ourselves or picking it up, we just get to be sad here.
You want to paint those?
I mean, I guess I could paint them.
Well, since I'm doing that, do of course that, and then where's the dark gray? Here's dark gray, just a little bit of dark gray, and then I'm just pouring a teensy bit of water, just kind of water it down. Okay, yeah, that water should be fine. Might not be very good. Okay, I think we had another question. How does leveling up work?
Now, there's several ways that one can actually work. There's experience you could get, either based off of your achievements, how difficult the session was, or for killing monsters. It's really game dependent. But the way we usually do it is milestones. So either for a number of sessions you level up, or if you achieve something really great in story, that's another one I'll usually level you up for. Because I don't like keeping track of experience.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used experience with this group.
Yeah, I'm also not a huge fan of math, so if I could avoid it, I will do so at all costs.
I think the only time I've ever used experience was back in our Pathfinder days.
Yeah, that was
That's
a
the only
long time ago.
Yeah.
For those of you that are unfamiliar, Pathfinder is just like another type of role-playing system.
Didn't it come out because of 4th edition? Like no one liked 4th edition.
Yeah, I think 4th edition wasn't popular, and Pathfinder came out around the same time, but don't quote me on it because I don't know. I'm just
I feel like it's around the same time. Leslie said, Randy's always at for pizza breaks here in the stream.
Oh yeah, love my pizza. Pizza's one of the 5 things my wife eats.
Oh, is that the TV?
That is the TV.
Okay, because that sounded like one of our starting screens or something.
It's the same music.
I use the. Yeah, it looks like I use blue. No, see this one with no real major cracks. Stone beaten up a little bit.
Hello, Sarah.
Brady, there's a paper in front of the heater.
I know.
Why?
It's blowing hot air down onto our drying things.
Except it's trying to.
No, that's everything else here.
No, that's burning the foam. That's what that is.
It's burning the foam. What?
We're using
We're
a
using a
soldering
solder.
gun to
To
burn
burn
the foam.
Oh,
That's what you smell.
Yes.
not for going.
I won't burn down the house, Sarah. I live here, and so do my dogs.
I would never harm my children. It's these toothbrushes. But yeah, we're also still live. So
These tiles, in theory, are supposed to take about 10 minutes, but you know, that's if you're confident and have been crafting for years.
we have not.
Yeah, I'm a complete nincompoop, and I'm just over here trying my best, so.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
In the meantime, you know, that's what the commentary's for.
Yeah.
Is a beautiful boy?
Oh, he was.
Is he just laying
Well,
down?
Leslie says hello, Sarah.
Hello.
And apparently Leslie's phone died and wants to know, can a character have a pet with different skills and more darker /communications?
Characters could definitely have pets. Now, usually some sort of limitations will be placed on it, like if it's just a regular pet, so that it doesn't ruin the game in any way.
Yeah, typically the only ones that get to have pets that actually fight are
Like druids.
well, druids and rangers, right?
Yeah, some rangers, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a horse.
Yeah, Sarah had a horse the one time she played with us. So yeah, pets. Pets are certainly a thing.
You're a boy. You're a boy.
But then you also have to worry about taking your pets into dangerous situations, which most, you know, D&D sessions, you're gonna do that. So
Oh, that's.
I'd be terrified even just to bring my my fake pet into combat, lest it get killed.
I think a good example of that is in our current campaign, Osborne actually has that pet spider that's now the size of what?
The size of a giant spider. So I don't know how big a giant spider is, but I'm assuming bigger than a large dog. It's big.
Now, was this spider going to turn into a spider girl, or was that just joking? So I think it'd be hilarious.
I thought it would be funny if it did like go in a cocoon and sort of transform into a drider. Because that's where it came from. It came from the Spider Queen's forest.
So it makes sense. Like maybe it's another Queen Drider. Something like that.
Do you want me to put her shoe on?
Yeah. I could always let the big hoe back out later
Maybe.
once we're done doing arts and crafts.
I could let him just free roam around the main house.
That's fine too, as long as you think he'll be okay over the main house.
I was gonna just go to bed with the doggos.
That should be fine though. We're gonna have to wipe some paint off of the tile on the other side, but
Yeah, it should just be soap and water. Because it is the same kind of shit. You're pretty simple.
It's all.
no, it is frozen. You might want to check on it. It looks like it's still going.
Yeah, it's over here.
Might just need to restart the app.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did get lost. Oh, good.
Are we back? Or
Was your question about having a pet?
Yeah, did you guys hear the answer for that?
We might have gotten off of that. That might have been it. Maybe.
What was your last question, Ben?
I'm guessing it was about pets. Yeah, pets. That was the question.
Yeah, so we must
Yeah.
have cut off at that exact moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you can have pets. Generally, certain types of classes will have animals that they could summon, but also if you talk to your DM, you could get something like that arranged.
Yeah,
Depending on the type of pet.
Yeah, they won't always be able to follow you in battle or something like that. They might just be just a normal pet. Like we were saying before, or after we got cut off, really. Druids can have combat pets, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
druids and I
and-
think some rangers could also.
Yeah, Rangers like the new one, the Drake Warden Ranger. The Drake Warden Ranger gets the small dragon. I forgot what kind of dragon they get, but that has some combat ability.
Let me get some of this water.
What's this little sponge?
That's also for cleaning off the thing, but the brass works a lot better.
The sponge will not clean this.
The druid, you can have a pet. Is it?
I know you can like Osborne can summon
Yeah, they
creatures.
they get an ability that allows them to summon animals, but
So it's kind of like a pet, but not really. If you're talking more like just like having a dog in real life, yeah, like he was saying, I don't know if you're off stream for that, but you can talk to the DM for that. If you just want like a pet. But as far as something that can follow you to combat, it's not. I'm like as far as I know, I haven't looked at the druid.
here's the question though. Leslie, if you could have any pet in Dungeons and Dragons, what would you choose?
She said a lone wolf.
Possibly. But then you also have to live with the fact that you brought your wolf into combat and then a giant ripped it in half. So, you know, there's ups and downs. I'd be too terrified to bring my pet into combat.
Not a pet.
Are you referring to my hat? My hat does say Lone Wolf on it. I'm not wearing it tonight. But I usually do. Ah, you hear that sound? It's the sound of my spine screaming.
I thought it was gonna be your boost.
No, I don't think anyone besides us would get that Who reference.
Probably not.
Because I imagine most people are not degenerates that would watch that movie.
I don't even remember what it's called.
I believe it's called Freddy Got Fingered.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
No one actually gets fingered in that movie, by the way. It's really just a silly name.
Okay, Leslie's saying, she says, well, it's not a pet. An extension of my character. It does the bad things my character could not do.
That'd be an interesting character concept, actually.
And Ben had a question, how do you win the game or how does it end?
You win the game by having a good time, then. But the ending, well, you see, that could vary. That depends a lot on you as a player and on the story the game master is trying to tell. Just so you know, game master and dungeon master is interchangeable, but I believe it was Pathfinder referred to it as game master, so I'll often call it that out of habit. Yeah, so there's several ways to win, but the end goal is to well, there is no specific end goal. It really depends.
It depends on what campaign it is. Depending on what your end goal is, or
It
maybe
could also depend on what you as a character want.
Yeah.
Like, what do you in game? What motivates your character to do what they do? Do they want to be rich? Do they do it to take care of their family? Do they just enjoy, the danger associated with adventuring, and they're just looking for the next thrill? So there may not always be an ending. It could be open-ended. You could just adventure, and then they continued adventuring until they died, or they lived happily and ever after. That kind of thing. It really just depends.
like our last campaign. It kind of, I don't think it really ended, did it?
No, it didn't particularly end. Now it did have a plot, and it did have like an ending. There was a. Now, are we talking about Hunter's first campaign, or are we talking about my last campaign?
No, I was talking about Matt's.
Oh yeah, Matt's campaign.
Yeah, it didn't really have an end. We just ended because he was kind of leaving though. So I assume we'll get back to that at some point.
Yeah, so there's not always an ending per se, and there's not always a way to win.
Yeah, sometimes
But there are ways to lose, mind you.
a little party wipe.
Yeah, fighting something that's way too strong for you to fight—that's one way you can lose. Picking a fight with a bunch of guards in a large city is a quick way to get put in prison for the rest of your life, which basically is like being dead as far as the game's concerned.
Who picked the campaign?
It could be the DM or it could be the players. A lot of times we'll get together and we'll be like, all right, so we have these few concepts for the next kind of story we want to run, and we'll have everybody provide input or maybe even make some suggestions of their own. So it's whatever everybody wants to play.
Yeah, this last one we actually voted on between two, I believe, and two campaigns ago, we voted between three of them. So it depends on how your group does it. Like maybe in your group the DM's like, hey, we're gonna run this campaign, or in our group it's what do we all want to do.
What kind of story would you want to be a part of, Ben?
Well, this is loving the dark table setup, and then may I come craft with you guys soon?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll do a better job than Randy.
We see that's not setting the bar very high, Leslie. If you're going to brag, you should at least set the bar maybe up here, not all the way down here where I am. I got paint on my fingers, all on my fingers.
What happens when you're with Scales and Scales Arts and Crafts?
I think I prefer my digital art, although this ain't bad. My laptop doesn't leave black stickies all over my fingers.
They can't make them, but well, I guess you could. You can't make physical dungeon tiles.
Yeah, I suppose it is nice to have something you can feel and see.
So far, I'm kind of happy with some of the way they've come out.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be great once they're all done. These ones are gonna take a fortnight to dry. Though.
What about the ones that we did earlier?
Oh, those will be ready for dry brush here soon.
Okay, yeah, once we're done with this, I guess we move to dry brushing.
Leslie loves the crafting stream.
We're glad you enjoy it. We're having a good time as well. Thanks for talking to us so much and keeping us company. It definitely helps the crafting time go by. But yes, if you would like to craft with us sometime, we could definitely use some extra hands. You're more than welcome to come over and be on the stream if you'd like. Maybe next time we'll make something a little bit more interesting than floor tiles.
You like that building that we saw on
Dungeon craft, yes.
Minecraft, yeah, or maybe stairs or something like that. Possibilities are endless.
The only limit is your imagination and the amount of money you have to buy supplies. And I suppose the time you have left on this earth, and, you know, that's a limiting factor to us all. Okay, so there are a few more limits. There's almost no limits. What you say? You like dungeon crawlers, Ben? Oh yeah, you could absolutely die. And several things could happen when you die, actually. I like to make death a plot device because there are ways in Dungeons and Dragons to come back to life. And I like to play in high magic campaigns, so the way I run things, usually there are ways to come back to life if the soul is willing and able to do so. So, if you die in a heroic last stand against an insurmountable enemy to protect your party like a heroic death, I might say that either somehow miraculously the gods intervene and bring you back to life, or I'll create a plot thread where I'll be like, if you guys go and do this, and I'll put it in the story much more subtly than this, you could bring your friend back to life. And then you who have died could even, play a temporary character and be a part of that adventure to bring yourself back to life if you really would like to. And then if you get too attached to your new character, you can either keep playing that one and rescue your other character, or there's an infinite number of ways it could really go.
Yeah, certain players at a table would kind of have to have like 3 characters.
Yeah,
The backup,
some
so-
people die often.
Okay,
We
so-
once had a character. They were crossing a bridge. They were going to Baldur's Gate, and he decided he was going to do some egregious things in public. And some guards took notice to this, and they confronted him. And he tried to fight these guards. Well, unfortunately for him, he was only level 1. These guards were a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot meaner than him. So they very promptly put him into a state of dying. He wasn't quite dead yet, but then they threw his limp corpse, and it wasn't a corpse yet, over the end of the bridge and into the river.
And no one wanted to save him.
Well, one person did try to save him, but once they got into the current, they decided, nah, I'd really rather not. And he drowned. So you had to make a new character after that. If you're smart, though, you'll usually live.
Yeah. Leslie wanting to tell us about what we're wearing for today's stream.
You want us to tell you about what we're wearing?
Talk to us about what you're all wearing for today's stream.
Only the finest silk in the land. No, this is cotton.
This is a shirt I bought from Target. It's a very Sithmas, and it has a stormtrooper with a Santa hat on.
Yeah, Dylan loves his Star Wars,
I love
as you can
Star
see.
Wars, yes.
Mine is Death Saves. My good friend Hunter actually got this for me as a gift, and it's one of my favorite shirts. And then this is just something I started wearing for the stream. I've got a little Thor's hammer necklace. We each have our own one. I think Dylan has one as well. Hunter has one, and the other Randy also has one.
Oh, make sure he wants us to stand up. There's the battle look. There's a
Oh, you
little-
want to see it?
Freedom.
I'm covered in paint.
Okay.
I seriously have a 5 millimeters of paint on my fingertips. This is Chris.
Oh, Ben's asking, can you challenge a Dungeon Master's?
You can, but they're ultimately the final say. Like one of them I had in, I believe it was our holiday stream or our Halloween stream, where Hunter was the temporary DM, and he said I couldn't use sneak attack if something is like targeting me, even though in the rulebook it said technically I should have been able to. So it's more just a DM's call for a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
it depends. If you can make a good case for it, sometimes the DM will let you do things, but
Yeah, if it's reasonable or it's cool,
Yeah.
a lot of times it'll be allowed. Like if you could explain to me why you're able to sneak up on an overhang and push a bunch of heavy stuff over someone and kill them instantly, I'll be like, all right, yeah, roll me stealth. You sneak up there, they don't seem to notice you. You push the barrel over, the barrel falls over, and then not only does it crush one or two of them, but it's full of liquor. And one of you just happens to be able to shoot fire from your hands, which makes quick work of the goblins that were in your path. Like, stuff like that. You can do almost anything.
yeah, well, as long as like if you can imagine it and make a good case for it, it'll usually be allowed, unless it's just something really out there.
Yeah, the only thing that's really best to avoid is no arguing at the table, usually. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to have a brief discussion, but it must remain civil.
Yeah, and ultimately it is down to the DM. So if the DM still says no, then that's kind of what you have to go with.
You could argue, but then your character's going to get struck by lightning and you can roll a new one.
Yeah,
Although that usually doesn't have to happen. I don't think we've ever done anything like that. Nothing that egregious, anyways.
no, I don't think so.
I'll wait on here calling me thick.
I don't have to get it too thick.
That's that hot Russian red.
Yeah, especially like the cracks. Like we can't let paint sit in like the other ones. I think after this, then we can start talking.
I think after this, I'm going to take a short break to wash my fingers because they are filthy.
Go ahead and start throwing stuff here.
Yep, eloquent and entertaining. I couldn't have said it better myself, Leslie.
What happened at the back of this thing?
Oh, I told you, that's the one I snapped off.
Well, you should. Oh, I guess you did snap it off.
I told you to snap it off.
Well, it comes off, but I didn't think you actually broke it.
I did. I did break it. Please don't come me with that.
I was gonna,
Oh, are you still doing stuff
I
with
was
this?
gonna trim the edges of that, but
Oh yeah, here you go. So, what other questions do you have?
oh, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to cut.
Let's just burn the edge of that again.
Advice for beginners. Now, are we talking general advice or specific advice? Would you like advice on like what sort of character you should start out with just to get introduced to the game? Is that more like the question? In general, I would start with an easier class, like a fighter, and here's the reason why. There's not too much stuff that a fighter does. Like they have a few special abilities, but they're not very easy to kill. They have a lot more health than a lot of the characters. And basically, you just in combat, you're like, I go up and I hit him with my sword. Which doesn't sound that exciting, but that's like, bare bones. You're a combat guy, there's not too much going on there. And then you learn as you play from the other players around you. That's honestly the best, the best way to learn. And honestly, the best advice I could give is just hop right into the game and have a good time. You'll figure it out as you go.
And especially if there's you're gonna have experienced players with you most likely, so ask them for help or advice as well.
Yeah, a lot of the concepts are a lot easier once you see them in play. It's one thing to hear them described, it's another thing to do it.
Oh, Leslie's wondering if we could both sketch a character. I don't draw anymore. I'm trying to get back into it, but honestly, I'm too lazy. It's been something I've been trying to do, but I could not probably draw a person right now.
That is maybe something we could do for a future episode. Maybe we'll get a setup like this. Clean the majority of the crafts area, get some pencil and paper, and give it our best try. It could be humorous.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe I'll start practicing.
We'll each draw the same thing, and we'll compare drawings once they're done. How's that sound? That would be humorous.
Oh, Ben has another question. Actually, two. First one: do characters ever fight each other?
Yes, that does happen
Yeah,
sometimes.
it happens. It depends on the story. Maybe the characters hate each other, or maybe they're put into a situation where they need to for plot reasons.
You'll give your character like ideals. You'll give them beliefs.
Yeah.
So if one firmly believes you shouldn't hurt an innocent person, but another character believes, in an eye for an eye, and someone does something, that would generally be perceived as harmless and overreacts and decides they're going to beat that person within an inch of your life, you may say, hey, stop that, that's not right. And they may say, get in my way, and you'll end up like them. And then you fight. And that could turn out a lot of different ways.
We actually have somewhat in the last session. Actually, Kiergar, or actually, who picked up the Valkyrie's plumage?
That was the NPC. That was
No. One of our party had it.
Oh,
once
yeah.
we got it back.
Matt picked up the magic item that
Yeah.
the Valkyrie left behind, and he
So-
was going to keep it.
Yeah, he was gonna. It wasn't really in character, but I mean, if it were in character, Kyogar, like Hunter, he did say, if you don't give it back, I will attack you. Something like that. So there's chances where it will happen if there's conflict like that.
Say like Leslie's character had a wolf, you hated wolves, you go up and kick the wolf, and Leslie says, "Okay, you're going to die for that," and then attacks you. So that could be one
Something
example.
like that. Okay, the next question is, can you change your class during the game? You can't really change your class, but you can multi-class into another class, but
It's like taking on a new specialty. So
Yeah.
when you level up again, you could either take a level in the class you were in previously, or you could take a level in a new class if you meet certain prerequisites or if your DM's okay with it.
like my current character is actually a multi-class. I have the first 5 levels in Rogue, which gives me the first levels of the Rogue abilities, which include Sneak Attack, which I really needed. And then it has stuff like Expertise, where I get additional proficiencies with certain skills. I'm trying to think what else I have. Uncanny Dodge, where I can basically make damage and cut in half if I get hit by something. That really helps my survivability. And then
Yeah,
I'm multi-class.
squishy.
I'm multi-class into fighter to give myself multiple attacks. So you can't really change your class, but you can use another class. I would suggest if that second class meshes with your first one. When you say something like that,
Yeah, I'd agree. I personally like to be one class the whole time, Go hard or go home. If you're going to do something, commit to it.
yeah, Dean's like 100% would have killed his character in reference to Matt. So yeah, stuff like that. And then Wesley saying, feels like I need a visual to really dedicate myself to a character. I kind of agree with that in a way, but for me, for my first few characters, it was tough for me to actually like bond with the character. But once I started with the last character I actually did more work, like more backstory stuff. This will help me personally get more dedicated with the character. So, that's something to think about too. He's not here because he's cleaning up his house.
Yeah, he just got a new house, so he's got a lot of house stuff to do.
Yeah.
And he's also getting that special D&D space ready. You guys should see that on Saturday. It won't be complete, but
It will look
my
better.
God, will it be a beautiful foundation for a mighty castle?
Really, yeah.
That's a figure of speech. The paint's laid on thick, brothers and sisters. You want to shut that off if you're not soldering?
Oh yeah, probably. I think we're done with it. Okay. This is learned. Okay, makes sense. Is there wheat?
Break time already? Well, I suppose we do have to let some paint dry, but we do have some tiles that we're ready to dry brush. What you think, Dylan? You want to take a break, or do you want to start dry brushing right away? I say we start dry brushing right away. Why not?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna hop straight into it. No breaks.
Yeah, we can use this.
Breaks for the week. Ah, yes. The edge tiles are not painted on these though, but that's fine.
Well, that's because we painted that.
We'll want to do it over here because there's snow. Oh, here I am walking in front of the camera. Don't mind me.
Yeah, no one wants to see that.
I only saw my waist. You know, Dylan.
It's not completely dry.
Oh yeah.
This one's pretty dry. Yeah, that one's not completely dry here.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
honestly,
this one's completely dry.
A lot of these pieces that we just painted, they're going to have to take some time to dry. So we may just want to maybe chat a little bit longer, and then we'll go ahead and close out the stream for tonight.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night, Torgar.
Get it closer.
Oh, you want a close look at the table?
Oh,
And how do we choose our weapons? Well, there's several factors you're going to look into when you're choosing your weapons. For one, melee weapons and ranged weapons, they do different damage. So a short sword's only going to do a little bit of damage, a long sword's going to do a little bit more. And then even above that is a great sword. But there's also the price to take into account. Usually, when you're making your character, you get starting equipment, and then you just buy equipment from there once you earn some money. But it's also, how do you visualize your character? You know, if you look at it like a lot of different fantasy, like, I keep saying like.
Yeah, and you thought that's a crutch word.
Yeah, it is a crutch word. All right, give me a moment to gather myself. If you look at things like Lord of the Rings, that was not a crutch word. That was appropriate there, mind you.
Yeah, I got it.
You got the King's Sword. What's it called?
I haven't watched Lord of the Rings in a long time. Not all.
Okay, then let's say Gandalf's sword, Glamdring, the foe hammer. If you're going for a certain appearance, if you want to make like a Gandalf-like character, you're going to want a long sword, and then you could describe it however you envision it. Maybe even draw a picture of it. But it's really the character you're trying to portray. I like to do big, bulky strength builds, or, light dexterity builds. So I'll either get like a giant two-handed hammer, and I know he keeps saying like, I'm working on that. A giant two-handed hammer called a maul, or a warhammer, which is a smaller hammer, but also quite good. Only does D8 of damage though.
Yeah, you gotta consider the damage type, or if you're going for range or something like that. What your class and race is proficient with, that's also a huge factor too.
Yeah, damage type is important. Some things are resistant to certain types of damage, so if you get something that's resistant to bludgeoning damage, you're not going to want to hit it with a hammer, you're going to want to hit it with a sword. Or preferably something magic, because some things are resistant to non-magic attacks.
Yeah. And he had another question. Is there? Not sure what that's referring to.
What are you talking about?
Up close. Example. Where I'm at. Oh, can you find equipment? Yeah.
That's one of the big parts of the game is
Yeah.
going, exploring places, and finding loot.
Yeah, you can find it. Like my character found in one of the crypts or dungeons or whatever, found this studded leather armor. Didn't fit her, but she found it, so she's able to use it after getting it fitted properly. So you can find equipment. You can buy other stuff later on, or get it. And ours, you can actually upgrade the equipment too. So
Yeah, so you go explore like an ancient crypt or some old castle ruins, and there was a forge in there that wasn't entirely damaged. Maybe everything in there was stored in oil, or it was stored in such a way it wouldn't rust or decay, or maybe it was magic. So you could definitely find weapons out and about on your adventures, or you could just go buy them in store, usually.
Yeah.
For us, I like to play high magic campaigns, and I love upgrades and adventuring equipment, so I like to see what players could do with that kind of stuff. So I make it readily available. And gold is also pretty plentiful because adventuring is a lucrative profession.
Yeah. Can you trade or sell things between players? Yeah, you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That really just depends on what you and the other player come up with.
Yeah. And character ideas.
Now, are we thinking of characters in general, Leslie, or are we thinking of a character that you could play? I know, I'm not going to get an answer from the camera, but I like to engage the audience, and I assume you would also look. I think 100% a druid, like a really bubbly, upbeat druid, or maybe even a bard.
Yeah, it also depends on what kind of character you want to play. Where if you want to play non-magic, or you want to play magic character, or melee, or range kind of thing.
Can you visualize yourself running up to a bad guy and beating them to death with your fists, or perhaps a hammer? Or would you prefer to attack them from a distance? Or would you like to have a giant wolf attack them onto your behalf? We're waiting.
We're waiting.
You mean the edges? Are we frozen again?
Shouldn't be. I mean,
Okay, so you prefer ranged, Ben. Now, I would say maybe a ranger, but rangers really aren't that good in D&D. At least a lot of people don't think they're very good, and I haven't seen.
apparently the Drake Warrior subclass is pretty good. I didn't look at it too much, but you get a dragon.
Yeah, if you're going to be ranged, you're going to want to be a rogue, because a
Yeah.
fighter
Or
can
both,
use
like I'm doing.
all fighter, 100%.
Yeah, with the fighter, you can definitely, if you use action surge, you can get, like, what, 8 attacks?
You get a lot of attacks as a fighter.
Yeah.
Once you get to level 11, you get 3 attacks, which is a lot. And you have an ability called Action Surge, which lets you push past your usual limits, just once, and take 2 actions, so you can attack 6 times. And as you might imagine, that's quite substantial. What's your favorite character to play, Dylan?
That I've made in the past?
In general.
I prefer more range characters. I mean, I don't mind playing a melee character, but range is definitely my favorite. My last character was a bit of both. I was playing a Hexblade Warlock, which I had a sword, but I was also able to do magic at range, so it was a mix of both. Not great survivability, but that was a pretty fun character to play, especially to roleplay, because I got to be a little bit more crazy than I normally am.
I play fighters, but I play a wide variety of fighters. It's not a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter style thing. So my first fighter, his name was Luther. He was a big guy, all muscle and a little bit of personality, and he used a big two-handed hammer. Eventually he got a magic one, and his favorite thing to do was throw it at people because he could summon it back to him, almost like Thor style, and throw it again. So, winning strategy there. But I was also playing a character for our Descent to Avernus campaign named the Dread Pirate Rogers. Now, he was a kobold. They're only about maybe 2.5 feet tall. And they're lizard-like. They have draconic blood in them, I believe it is, per canon.
Oh my god.
And he thought the party was a member of his crew. He was all dexterity, so he used a longbow, although it was probably just a little bit too long for him to use effectively.
I feel like I'd be taller than him, or at least the size of him.
And he used a rapier, which was a dexterity-based stabbing weapon. So he wasn't as tough as my other characters, but he had a lot of personality, and it was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, that I will agree. Dread Pirate Rogers was pretty funny.
He also had a kazoo.
That was annoying.
He would play the kazoo at random times. He would play the Pirates of the Caribbean theme in particular.
You can find it on YouTube if you wish to watch it.
Yeah. I actually got a kazoo for the character, and I did play at the table. Poorly, mind you. Poorly, but I did.
I mean, that was the point of the character. I can't really do that.
Yeah, don't cut yourself. That would be...
It's not that I'm going to cut myself. It's just it's not going to look very good.
Yeah, might as well
It
just
might
play it at
just-
this point. I think it's going to look... No matter what we do at this point, they're going to look good once they're finished.
Yeah, we just need to wait till the cracks dry. This one can probably. I think this one's good. Not the others.
What do you think is wholesome about this? Do we need to spice it up a little bit, or is wholesome good? Yeah, this is probably as wholesome as we get right here.
Yeah.
Usually we're violent. Like when they threw that gnome into the woods with a bomb backpack stuff.
That was hilarious. I wish they would have told me about that.
Yeah, the gnome at the last minute threw off the backpack full of explosives, only to be charged down by a rhinoceros and trampled to death.
We both forgot help her with the character.
Yes,
We got a
squirrel.
little track there, but yeah.
So back to Leslie.
Yeah.
If you had to fight somebody to the death, how would you do so? Would you like to blast them from a distance with powerful magics? Would you like to summon an animal to help attack you? Help attack them.
Damn.
Or would you like to go up and, put your dukes up and fight them? No to any of those? You wouldn't want to do any of those.
Okay.
I will kill with my own hands. So, funny enough, there is a fighter you could build. A fighting style where you literally do punch things. And if you don't have a weapon or a shield in your offhand, you get to punch things even harder. That's the whole thing. You basically just punch things.
I mean, there is a class called the monk specifically for that kind of fighting, but
No one likes
it's generally not that good. There's not a whole lot of versatility with that. So if
Well,
you
I mean,
wanted to,
it has a lot of utility. It just doesn't do a lot of damage.
true, yeah. So if you wanted to punch with a lot of damage, that fighter build is probably the way to go.
I think that's a newer thing too. I don't think that's always been a fighting style option.
I'm pretty sure it came out with Tasha's or something like that.
Yeah.
No,
I'd say it would make you a fighter with a lot of strength, and you could just go up and punch things to death. Very personal cases. What would bring you to fight someone to the death? Life or death situation.
That's typically what our fighting is, though.
Yeah, usually it is life or death. Say you're all alone in the woods and your phone is dead. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot it. Shia LaBeouf. He's following you about 30 feet back. He gets down on all fours and breaks into a sprint. He's gaining on you. Shia LaBeouf. Anyway. Yeah. Anyways, that's a song. You guys can look it up on YouTube if you like.
Anyway,
say you were going to sign up to be an adventurer. Your good companion, Benjamin Leonard. I'm trying to come up with a funny version of Benjamin Leonard that's not Benjamin Leonard. We'll call him Big Ben. He's also a fighter. You two, your village has been burnt down. All your family is dead. You're going to sign up to be adventurers. You get attacked on the road by some bandits. They demand you give up all of your money or you die. What do you do? How did I ruin your imaginary world? Is it because your town burned down?
we dead?
Well, we're deeply sorry for ruining your imaginary world. We assure you it was not intentional.
It's your fault.
Oh yeah, blame me, why don't you?
You're the one talking. Oh yeah, because you said Ben in a little scenario. That's the reason.
Well, do you have any more questions? Because I think I've run out of topics to speak on.
No.
No, we didn't.
No. I mean, if you want a character that you can like literally use your hands, then yeah, that unarmed fighter would be your best bet.
What am I working for?
I don't know. Oh yeah. Well,
Probably this meager existence we all live. That's what I'm working for, to sustain that. I'm not really sure. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced there's no meaning behind it. On the upside, this is some really mellow music.
I don't know about mellow, but
Maybe a little epic.
yeah.
I sure hope it's epic and not copyrighted because I
That
don't
would
know.
suck.
Well, I think that's oh, hold on. Yes, that's a safe bet.
I would say so.
But it's only going to get better from here. At the very least, we're going to try to make it better. Maximum effort.
Yeah, I like this style stream. Like we get to interact with whoever's in chat and actually do something for our games, which we didn't do a whole lot, but we got everything ready at least.
Yeah, we got started.
Yeah. I believe these are probably ready for some direct pushing.
Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. How's that sound, Dylan?
That was awesome. Really straight.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
All right, Leslie, Ben, everybody who tuned in, thank you very much.
You could use a couple lessons.
It's I think we're gonna call it here.
I'd say so.
So we'll be streaming at the usual time tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
We are central.
Yep. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitch. Check us out on Twitter. That's where you're gonna see that sweet, sweet art posted and other content updates.
Yeah.
Also, you can talk to Dylan, who's got a profile named Carillion.
I sure do. I don't know how to use Twitter, but I want to learn.
And eventually your other favorite characters. If you guys have any more D&D questions, feel free to message me directly or hit us up on the Twitter because
Yeah.
I have access to that too. I'm running it. So I'm the man behind the Twitter for the moment.
Yeah.
With that, we don't have a sign-off catchphrase, so have a good night.
Ben's wondering who's the best player.
It's me.